Hi, you are welcome to this class. Welcome to today's class. And in today's class, we'll be dealing with addition and subtraction of surds. But before we move on, you need to understand what are surds. So surds are square root which cannot be simplified into whole number. It cannot be simplified into whole number. For example, we asked that what is the square root of 4? Square root of 4 is 2. What is square root of 16? Square root of 16 is what? Is 4. But these are not surds. These are square root of rational numbers. So, but if I ask you that what's the square root of 3, what will you say? It's going to give you decimal numbers. It will not be whole numbers. So root 3 is a surd. If I ask you what's the root of 17, what is the root of 17? This is also a surd, because by the time you get your root, you're going to have what decimal place. It's not going to be whole number. So let's go to today's class. Is about addition and subtraction of surds. So, for example, you are asked to do this. 4 root 3 plus 2 root 3. Now, if you look at this one, there are some surds they are called likely surd. This one we call likely surd is this. If you look at this, you can see that this is root 3 and this is root 3. So, what you can do is that you can add the coefficient. The coefficient of this root 3 is 4. Then the coefficient of this other root 3 is 2. So, what do you do is that you have your 4, then you add the 2, then you put the root 3. So this will be what? 6 root 3. The reason why we are doing it is because they have similar surds. So in addition and subtraction of surd, when you have likely surd, you are allowed to what? You are allowed to add or subtract it together. For example, if you have something like this, 7 root 5 minus 2 root 5 minus 2 root 5. Now, because these are similar surds, that is the surd root 5, they are similar, you are allowed to subtract the coefficient from each other because they are what? They are similar surds. So 7 minus 2 root 5. What is 7 minus 2? That will be 5. That will be 5 root 5. That will be 5 root 5. Now, let's assume that you are dealing with unlikely surd. So that are not similar to each other. Let's say you have something like this: 4 root 3 plus 3 root 5. Your answer is still 4 root 3 plus 3 root 5. Why? Because the surds are not similar. They are not similar. They are not likely. So you can see root 3, you can see root 5. So you cannot do anything to just 4 root 3 plus 2 root 5. But it's deeper than that. There are some ways you can manipulate your surd. For example, now let's assume that you are asked that, okay, what is the surd of 8? Do you know that this 8, even though it's a surd, you can get the square root, you can't get a whole number, but there's a way around it. You can just say that 8 is also the same thing as what? 4 times 2. It is also the same thing as 4 times 2. And I believe that the root of 4, but actually, what's the root of 4? The root of 4 is 2. So root 8 is what? 2 roots 2. Even though we don't have our own number, but we have simplified it into what? Into a simpler surd. So let's do some real questions here. Let's assume you have something like this. We are still an addition and subtraction also. Let's assume you have root 20 plus root 45 plus root 125 minus 2 roots 80. So how do you solve this? Looking at this surd that they are not similar. So the first thing is that you break it down. How do I break it down? But when breaking it down, you must be sure, or you must target a certain number so that all of them can have similar surds. Like what I'm saying, I may look difficult for you to comprehend, but look at it. That do you know that your 20 can be expressed as what? 4 times what? 4 times 5. You can see 5. 5 is a common type. You can see that I'm targeting 5. So you have your 45. What is 45? 45 is also known as 9 times 5. Now, if you look at this, I can easily get the square root of 4. So this can easily turn to what? This can easily turn to 2 root 5. You can see root 5. Then plus what's the root of 9? That would be 3. So you can have 3 root 5. You can see that 5 is already becoming a common what? A common surd. Now if you look at your 125, so you will not target that 5 again. By saying 1 times 5 will give me what? Will give me 25. That will be 25 times 5. And the root of 25 is what? That will be 5 root. That will be 5 root 5. Then you have minus 2 root. So 5 here for 80. That will be 16 times. That will be 16 times 5. So you have minus 2. What's the root of 16? That will be 4. So that will tell 4 root 5. So you move on by writing 2 root 5 plus 0 root 5 plus 5 root 5. Now minus 2 times 4, that will be minus 8. Minus 8 root 5. Now, if you look at this, because they are all similar, so you all have to like can easily add and subtract. So that will be, I'm going to add all the coefficient now. That will be 2 plus 3 plus 5 minus 8. There you just put one of the sources. They all have similar, so which is root 5. So 2 plus 3, that will be 5. 5 plus 5, 10 minus 8, that will be 2 root 5. So our final answer is what? Is 2 root 5. So that's how to do your additional subtraction of surd. So let's have one more. Let's assume you have this. Let's assume you have 3 root 2. Example 2. You're having 3 root 2 minus 32 plus 50 plus root 50 rather plus root 98. Now, in your mind, if once you look at the question and see that there is no similar surd, you must think of a similar surd. That is a surd that I had to make all of them have similar surd. I can see 2 here. So if I say that, okay, this is 3 root 2 minus. Can 2 go in 32? Yes, 2 can go in what? In 32, because your 16 times 2 is what? Is 32. Can you see that? So I'm trying to target that root 2 so that all of them can have root 2, so that we have what? Common, similar surd at the end. So 2 times 25 or 25 times 2 is your what? Is 2. 25 times 2 is your 50. Then you have this. Can 2 go in 98? Yes, it can. 2 in 9, that will be 4, remainder 1. 2 in 18, that will be 9. So 49 times 2 is what? 98. Now you can go back to your question. You can see that it's becoming simpler now by writing 3 root 2. Now minus, what's the root of 16? That will be 4. So this will be 4 root 2. Then plus, what's the root of 25? That will be 5. And you have your root 2. Then you have plus root of 49. That will be 7. That will be 7 root 2. 7 root 2. So what you do, well, you now have similar surds. So all you need to do is just add and subtract the coefficient of your root 2 of surd 2. So you have 3 minus 4 plus 5 plus 7. I pick this coefficient, then you put your root 2. Now what is 3 minus 4? 3 minus 4 is minus 1. Minus 1 plus 5 will be 4. 4 plus 7, that will be 11 root 2. So our final answer is root 2. So do not forget that surd is a square root that cannot be simplified into whole number. And when you are having your additional subtraction of surds, know that you can only add or subtract similar surds. And if you don't have similar surd, always try to pick the surd into simpler ones. Then you can have your similar surd. Finally, we've come to the end of today's class. If you are here to subscribe to my channel, Mr. Willis Maths Class, please do that. Recommend this class to your friend. Thank you so much. Bye.